official Night of Champions predictions and that promo for the GOAT John Cena last Friday night. This is the Golden Shovel podcast, the best wrestling podcast recorded in 3 random bedrooms in the west of Scotland. Let's just get right into it. I am once again, as always, joined by Daz and Ross.
How we doing, folks? It's a pleasure as always to be here.
It feels like we're doing these episodes every 2 weeks. The amount of PLEs that E has stuck on for us in 2025. So for anybody that is listening, watching, joining us for the first time, this is our first ever audio episode. If anybody wants to go and enjoy our back catalogue, you'll find them over on YouTube at the Golden Shovel. Now, and the link tree will be in the show notes for us in the usual socials. Let's know how about we've got 6 matches. Triple H has blessed us with an extra match
Based.
for a PLE. And for the first match, we're going to go straight to Raw, which is my area of expertise. Rhea versus Raquel. Now, Ross, I'm going to come to you first on this one. Forget about the match itself. Just now. Mm-hmm. Does this not feel like the fact that we have 2 title matches on Friday Night SmackDown with the tag titles and the women's SmackDown title, women's WWE title, that one of them really should be on this card rather than what appears to be a slightly random throwaway match?
It's a thing this week that there's a couple of matches that have sort of appeared out of nowhere, and I think you can absolutely say that this is one of them. If we put the actual content of what we're going to see to one side, and I do think it probably will actually be reasonably decent to watch, I fail to understand why Night of Champions does not have an awful lot of champions on it. Like, to me, I don't know what you guys think, this feels less Night of Champions and more Crown Jewel, and I don't really understand why they've took that direction. Someone needs to enlighten me on why that's the way that the have went this time. Like, is it as simple as the current situation? We'll not dive too much into the politics and what have you, but is it as simple as what's going on around that bit of the world? I'm not entirely sure.
Daz, I would offer up, is it as simple as the Saudi paymasters want to see Rhea Ripley on a card?
No, I'll be honest, I'm not necessarily sure she would have ever been on the card, to be honest. I think it's probably been shuffled. They've shuffled the deck because of Liv Morgan's injury.
Aye.
So they're now producing a new story for Roxanne and Raquel, which is good. I think Dom AJ is probably something to do with the current climate. It seems doesn't appear to be injured. I can't see how he got injured. So that match being taken off of basically makes space for one which we'll get to, make space for an extra match. And I think that the run time that was probably scheduled for Dom and AJ will probably now be halved between Sammy and Karrion Kross and this street fight that we're going to get. It's not a bad replacement. I'm actually really looking forward to it. It's been a while since we've seen Raquel work at that level with top talent on her own, so I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good match. I'm just always a wee bit cautious when it goes to places like Saudi Arabia what kind of product will actually be on display. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
There's a good bit of discourse on Twitter, X, IWC at the moment, and I actually agree with it. I thought Raquel looked really strong, powering Rhea through the table, which we're going to talk about in a wee second. But she was in the ring, she ditched that bandana, which doesn't really suit her fit in my opinion. I think there's an opportunity here for her to look really strong over the next few months, with a ready-made feud with Liv ready to go later in the year, when that inevitable return happens. Now, before we just get into the actual prediction of the match itself, it's obviously not thrown together. The storyline's been bubbling away, and I think you're right, it's a pivot. They need to get to a position where somebody is teaming with Raquel for these tag titles and there's a feud ready to go, and they need to get there. They do need to get there quickly. That's probably why this has to happen this weekend, and maybe it can't wait a week or two. Just one question, but ever since Slim Jims have sponsored these tables, they've been at every show. is it just ruin the fact that a table spot's supposed to be something that is nasty, does a feud that's like, whoa, you're really putting this person through a table to make a point, whereas now it's just Slim Jims wanting to stay tables out at least once a week.
I mean, I'm not really fussed by it. It's going to sound daft, I've never really been a massive lover of get the tables. I don't really think it adds much.
Unless it was Devon who was asked to get the tables.
Yeah,
Yes.
that comes with a whole chest slap and crowd interaction. Nobody's shouting get the Slim Jim tables, do you know what I mean? Plus, they work the commentary disc every week. Every week somebody gets dumped on top of it. So it's not like if they didn't have the Slim Jim tables out every week that we wouldn't see someone potentially going through some sort of table. I like what you picked up on though about the tag titles. There's clearly an angle brewing on my home show for those tag titles as well.
Oh, yes.
And I'm actually looking forward to the new angle for the tag titles. I don't know if this has just been sped up because of Liv's injury. It's got to be Roxanne, surely.
You would think.
Especially with being dumped at a Queen of the Ring.
I'm not going to say too much on that because it's going to be my actual prediction in a wee second, which may or may not give a little bit of a spoiler away. Ross, just before we do get to those predictions, we've talked a little bit about this in the last few weeks, and again we'll plug the YouTube. Does Triple H know how to book Rhea Ripley when she's not world champion?
I guess we might find out. I mean, we might.
She does deserve to be at that level all the time. We are huge Rhea Ripley stans.
And everyone who's in every arena she's been in the past few weeks is absolutely in the same boat. No, I think there are a few people where he does have a bit of a blind spot. Gunther being another one, where if there's no strap, there's a problem. But as you say, is it going to be a problem when she just should always have a belt around her waist anyway, and therefore why even think about it? I don't know, but it's odd, isn't it? It's a very strange one.
I think we're just at the stage now where this match goes to prediction stage, and I'll throw myself in there first, since it's a Raw match. I think that Rhea Ripley is about to go on a generational run because she's going to go into that Perth show later in the year, which is Crown Jewel for some reason. Perhaps we'll just try to remind the Australians of their colonising overlords. But this is probably the last stage. This is entirely possibly the last stage of the year where I think she can get away with a loss. I think just how strong Raquel did look last night. Let's not waste that. I think Roxanne gets involved. I think they teased them getting along. I think Roxanne gets involved as a street fight. There's no DQs, and Raquel's going to go over. In my prediction, Daz.
I think I totally agree. I can only see it going one way. It's interesting the chat about Rhea and how to book her when she's not world champion. It's one thing to be able to try and book her to win. Trying to book someone else to go over, especially Raquel Rodriguez, is a big ask, especially in Saudi Arabia, because money talks, and what the Saudis want to happen is most likely what will happen. But I do agree. I think Roxanne gets involved. There was a wee embrace between the two at the end of the segment Monday night.
Yep.
Definitely looks there's a bit of chemistry building there. So for me, I think Roxanne interferes and Raquel goes over.
Well,
Ross?
I don't know. I think that some of the things that we picked up on is kind of where my head was going, and it's not then where you two guys have ended up. I'm not being contrarian. I figured, it's in Saudi, as you say, money talks. I figured Rhea was just a lock for this and will just win. I think it could be a really, really good match. But I think as well, when I even think about the generational run, you're right, I think she will go on one. And what a better way to start a summer of PLE after PLE after PLE than have her win. And yeah, genuinely, I think Rhea might go over, I really do.
I think I would have agreed until last night.
And that's what makes me doubt myself a little. I will agree.
But also, I think if Rhea does go over, that is the end of the women's tag titles. You may as well just ending them right there. They have, because they should either strip Raquel of them, or she has to look strong. Anything else, they're by. So
That's
we've got
It's all
nice.
built into Evolution, so it's
Aye,
interesting because you don't want to build the team Roxanne and Raquel, but have Raquel lose because
It's too close.
especially the two that they're going to be paired up with. One of them is arguably the biggest name in women's wrestling, so she needs to look strong and into that feud if that's the way they're going to go.
100%. We might touch on that if we've got time. If not, I would advise everybody to check back in next week and we'll see how that feud develops. Now, this is just I will shamelessly plug our other socials at this episode because this is our first ever audio recording. So, for everybody that's following us on audio, if you check the show notes, you should see a link to our Buzzsprout where you can drop us any messages, some feedback, let us know your thoughts on the show, your predictions as well. We can react to them next week. If you disagree with them or you want to point out that we were massively wrong come Saturday night, feel free to do so. The other thing we do here every week is we award the Golden Shuffle Award, which is the titular podcast title award, which we essentially give to the booking decision that leaves us scratching our heads that we either disagree with or just doesn't make any sense. It is basically, speaking of generational runs, it's currently sitting with the women's US title picture and has been for about, it feels like 4 months of a 3-month podcast. If you want to go back and see how we manage that, go and check out the YouTube channel. Like I said, link to you within show notes, and you'll find us on TikTok and YouTube over there.
And obviously, if you're on YouTube and you're like, whoa, audio, what are you talking about? Go to wherever you find your podcasts. You can find us there as well.
Feel free to subscribe on YouTube and then listen to us as well in the car on the way to work.
Oh, yeah,
and
double done.
5-star reviews and whatever else.
Tell your mum, tell your sister, tell your dad, tell your brother, tell your dog. Tell everybody. If you go to school, tell everybody at school. If you go to work, bowl the tits off them at work.
Aye. And if you're going to work, just shout, Alexa, play the Golden Shovel podcast, and then leave. It counts. It counts.
Exactly.
Match number 2 is also coming from Raw. It's Sammy versus Cross, Karrion Kross. Now, I'm a little bit confused by this match. I'm not going to lie. It feels as though it's been building, and come Monday they've went, shit, we need a match.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to this match at all because I feel as though it can only end one way, which we'll get to. The storyline has intrigued me. It's just how quickly it's came together, and it's clearly came together because of Dom AJ being pulled from the card. At least in my opinion, that's what I'm saying. Although I guess on the flip side, there was no way that Sammy wasn't going to win this card. Well, it's just, I guess, talk me through your thoughts, because all we've been getting is what even some of these backstage segments the last few weeks have been happening during the US commercial break. So unless we're watching it live on Netflix in the UK, we're actually not seeing them in the replays, and we're seeing them on usually WWE.com or WWE's Twitter page.
I did not know that. That is even more bizarre. Yeah, that leaves my head scratching even further, because you have obviously the situation that we saw where they booked the match and he's like, oh, haha, I got my plan all along, and you're like, but what plan? What on earth are you talking about? I have no context for what's happened previously. It's very strange. I think you're right. It's a half panic, half a, oh wait, shit, we haven't put Sami Zayn on this card and it's a couple of days away. Yeah, it's a real shame, because obviously there's been a big swell from the fan base to see Karrion Kross back in the ring. There are a lot of people who are really, really behind him for reasons, and to do it like this doesn't seem right. It just doesn't. I don't know about you, Daz. This just doesn't feel right. Yeah,
I'm not necessarily someone who's on the Karrion Kross hype train. His in-ring work is uninspiring. I've heard he's got better on main event recently, but again, how high is the bar on main event? I would have thought with his popularity, because he is over, whether we like it or not, I thought if you were going to reintroduce him to ring work, it would have maybe been through your home brand, Ross, on developmental for a bit.
Well, yeah.
But again, he's getting to that age where that run could finish him. So, as I said on last week's pod, I didn't think this match would actually happen. I didn't think we would ever get to this point where this match needs to happen. I agree with you, Saunders, as yourself, Ross, they've rushed this. The promo on Monday night felt like it should have been 3-4 weeks away, where Sammy punches him in the face and they get their match. And it showed how rushed it was, that during the segment it didn't even tell you when the match was. You had to wait for some graphic later in the show to tell you it was Night of Champions. You said that Adam Pearce has made it official. But when are we getting it? And then they announced it's on the card. I do agree. Sammy was probably going to be on this card in some capacity. Whether it was even just to do the attendance or something like that, he was always going to be there. He was always going to be in Saudi because it's a tap-in. They've sped this feud up, and I think it's going to be the worst possible outcome for Karrion Kross because he's over in terms of IWC and people like him, but I'm not sure that the hardcore element that follow the product are too familiar with what he's going to bring to the table, and Sammy just ate the pin to Randy Orton, and is Karrion really going to go over?
Do you know what, I just dive straight into prediction, Daz, because I think that's the stage. There's no much more to say about this match, and I'm very aware that I'm watching myself nodding in agreement with you. So, for the audio listeners, I have been nodding to what Daz has been saying. I will learn how to make a noise when I'm nodding next week.
Yes.
I can sense your prediction. You basically said it there, Daz. What are you going for?
Sammy wins, and I don't think it'll be particularly long. I think Sammy's going to look strong in it in Saudi Arabia. That's probably the booking. And I do think it'll set Karrion Kross back in terms of TV matches, etc. I can't see this feud going beyond. Is it even going to make SummerSlam?
No,
I
doubt it.
Would you be happy to see Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross on SummerSlam?
No.
It is a 2-night event, so it possibly could, but for me, Sammy wins and we'll just shake hands and move on.
See if you could take Daz's opinion and then just, for the audio listeners at home, put my glasses on Daz and then just say that. Yeah. There's nothing else I can add there. Not really sure what the point is. If this goes past 12 minutes, I'll actually be a little bit annoyed. Just give it to Sammy and move on. Easy.
I actually feel slightly different about this match, only because the only way that it can last beyond Saturday is for Sammy not to win. But I also don't think Kross can win. This is one of the ones. This is one of the ones that we talked about it at Backlash, where we said there's 5 matches and we could have 5 screwy finishes, and we had 5 screwy finishes. I think either Sammy wins and then Kross beats him down, or it ends like a no contest or a beat down. I'm going to go with Sammy winning just because it is in Saudi, but I don't think it's. If they have this match and move on, I will be sitting here next week going, what was the complete point in that?
I feel like we'll be shoveling it next week if that's the case.
I want to shovel it this week. That's how annoyed I just. It's the build's been there for so long, and it's like, right, clearly they're going to do nothing with Kross unless they do turn Sammy heel and Kross ends up managing him. But I just think Sammy goes over in Saudi and maybe we get a beat down after it is probably about as much as I can say from at least having a story.
Yeah, that's maybe fair.
A 3-0 whitewash. Match number 3. At least at the time of recording, I don't think the run order has been released, so I'm just going through them in an order that makes sense for us. Daz, we're coming over to your home show. US title picture. Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa. I'll just say that I actually feel slightly uninspired now that they've pulled the trigger on this feud.
Yeah, I mean, I did say this in the show where we broke down Money in the Bank. It was the right break up at the wrong time. It didn't make sense for that to happen then. I think this match is much more intrigue if it's the US champ versus Mr. Money in the Bank. If you listen to the show, I touted Solo to win the briefcase. 100%. Again, we spoke, it's kind of similar to what you talk about, is realistically neither of these guys can win clean, because this feud's got legs, and that's the good thing about this feud, is that I'm not entirely excited about this particular match, but I am excited about where this feud will go, because there's a number of different avenues that open up. Because you've obviously got JC Mateo, if that is his real name. You've got Jimmy Uso. You've got, I won't upset Kevin Owens by telling you who they are, but you've got them. I don't know if anybody's seen Randy Orton at Fanatics Fest, bumped into Zilla Fatu, says I'll see you soon. There's loads of avenues that this story can go, and I'm really looking forward to that, to be honest. I just feel like it's the TV promos have been good with these two. I'm interested to see what the in-ring chemistry's like, because in theory it would be good, but they're two very similar builds to similar type wrestlers. Obviously, Fatu is a bit of, to quote Ross's favourite phrase, a bit of chaos. So
Oh yeah.
I think they'll put on a good show. I just don't think the story's developed enough yet for me to be totally bought in what they're trying to achieve.
That's what I was trying to get at. It feels like they've bubbled the story away in the background, and it's been there for so long, and a bit like the match we've just discussed. In fact, a bit like the first two matches, they've just pulled the trigger a week before. And I don't think their segments last Friday really furthered the feud or captured the feud. It just felt like it was a segment because they had to be in a segment together. Ross, you have enjoyed the US title picture this year because we're a bit of chaos. It sounds like it looks like for this period of time it's going to be a little bit more stable. Again, without giving away too much of your predictions, this kind of feels like no matter what happens, bell to bell, there's only one person walking out with that title if this is going to go beyond one match.
Yeah, surely. I would think so. I can't really see too many avenues they can take if it's not ending on Saturday. There's not much else you can really do. Just going by the age-old rule, usually, of heels lose feuds. Does make you think they're slightly cornered in what they can do. I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong in thinking that, but
I mean, we said down. I had in my notes every week from WrestleMania leading up to Money in the Bank, saying literally, I really hope Solo doesn't get lost in this shuffle. And I felt like the 2 weeks leading up to Money in the Bank, they really recovered them. To the point where when Daz predicted them to win Money in the Bank, I wasn't sitting here going, "Don't be silly," which I would have been 2 weeks before. I was going, you know what? I can see the story. The story is there. My worry is that Jacob Fatu is on this path to superstardom. He's on the path to the main event. Solo was there. I don't think this should end on Saturday night. I don't think Fatu can drop the title, which again I'm starting to spoil where we might be going with this. But Daz, again, are we sitting here questioning ourselves as how do they protect both these guys in this feud? Because this is probably going to go to, this is one that should go to SummerSlam.
I think it should.
It will go to SummerSlam. It definitely will.
And how are you going to protect the two guys for 2 months, 2.5 months?
I'll be honest. This for me is going to go one of two ways, because if Fatu pins Solo clean, Solo's not a contender at that point.
Yeah, exactly. That's my worry.
So that for me writes off that as an option, because this will be part of the 2-night SummerSlam. It definitely will, because as I say, this feud does have the legs to go. It either ends with a DQ and JC Mateo, probably, or, and I'm going to go bold. People probably think that I'm going to be Mr. Solo Sikoa this year.
Say it.
I actually think Solo's going to win the title. I think Solo picks the title up, and the only reason I think he picks the title up because this feud gains so much more legs if Fatu chases Solo instead of Solo chasing Fatu. I don't believe Fatu needs the title. He's a bit like LA Knight. He doesn't need a belt. Everybody loves him for what he is. I don't think he needs the belt, and I think that Solo will be a much better champion in this feud than Fatu will be. The promos, just the look that Solo carries, the presence, he's almost got the aura like Reigns did.
He does.
I just think that Solo suits this feud better as champion. Whether or not it ends with him as champion is a different story.
So that's what I was going to ask you there, Dad. That's what I was going to
give this legs.
If Solo does take it this weekend, does that not mean that ultimately it would be Fatu coming out of SummerSlam with it? Whereas, if you find a way not to have the title change this weekend, at least there's still intrigue come SummerSlam that either one could walk out.
But then does Fatu need to win at SummerSlam, or can you push him into the main event picture?
So I think Fatu's going to drop it at SummerSlam and move on to other feuds because I think he's one of these guys, Ross, we've talked about this a lot in the last few months, people who, we've talked about Tiffany Stratton, who have done a really good job as the chaser.
Mm-hmm.
They've done a good job being chased. Now we need to see something else, and that's what I'm thinking from Fatu. He's been on this path of new guy, straight to title picture, US title, who's always going to win it. And I'm in agreement with Daz that he doesn't need the title, but what he needs is to be able to show that he can do something else, and that is, can he carry a feud with someone who isn't out with the US title picture. So we talked about guys. We talked about guys like Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens is one as well. Roman's the same. Punk. They don't need to be in the title picture to have the best feud, to have the best matches on a show. So is that what we want to see from Jacob Fatu, say between now and WrestleMania, thinking that 2026 to 2027 might be his years?
I think that's a reasonable argument that you could make. My counter to it would be, is it too early from, say, SummerSlam to then push him into that? When you think about then, where would he then go in that main event picture? Does it make sense for who's in the main event picture right now to push him into that?
Can I tell you where I think the perfect, and this is,
yes, 100%.
for anybody listening on audio for the first time, this we love to fantasy book, and this is why I think that he's going to move on, and I think Solo wins the title on Saturday, because I think what we're likely to get at Survivor Series is Team Rollins versus Team Reigns is what I think we're likely to get.
Okay.
And I think Fatu fits the bill perfectly, and I think
that's a good shout.
Fatu and Braun, either of the Brauns, to be honest, it's going to be really, really good. So that's where I think the story goes. It's about fantasy booking for anybody who's listening, but yeah.
I don't dislike that.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Daz, because just to reiterate again for the people that are listening for the first time, we love our fantasy booking, but we do try and fantasy book with a little bit of reality. We will suspend belief within the confines of the WWE universe, that as long as it makes sense in wrestling space, anything goes. I think you're right. I think Team Reigns, if that's the way they go, needs that enforcer type person. It needs to be the face. It's probably Jacob. I think that's a great shout. Ross, do you want to grace us with your prediction then, since Daz's Team Solo?
I thought that coming into this I was actually going to be potentially on my own, but I do like that it is not just me that thinks this. I am the same as you, that if they're logically, it just makes sense. You know, I'm Team Daz on this one. I think if they're going to pull this trigger a little too early, which we all think they have, the only way for this to continue on is Solo stands tall. Now, he doesn't necessarily need to win clean. He's a heel. We know how this works when you've got a JC Mateo kicking about, who, I will say, I'm slowly starting to warm to the character that he's got, even if we saw SmackDown on Friday night, he has an uneven handlebar moustache. Go and watch that footage back. It's very, very funny to look at. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm Solo here. I think Solo takes this. Where it goes from here, past SummerSlam, I'm not going to speculate, but here and now, I think him.
Okay, so I'm on my own then.
I think so. You may be.
And the reason that I did ultimately side with Sammy in the last match, with the post-match beat down from Karrion Kross, is I don't think this has a finish. I think this is JC Mateo getting involved, the referee's down. I think Fatu puts Solo through the ringside barricade with a running hip attack, and I think Mateo takes it.
Table.
I think Mateo takes out Fatu, and I'm going to go double count out.
Oh, okay.
I just think that this is how they'll keep it going. I think Solo will go over in the feud. I'm going to save Solo for taking it maybe at SummerSlam, but I think double count out / DQ. I think it's
double
one of those finishes.
Is this 2007?
I'm saying explicitly. I'm saying explicitly with Fatu doing the run hip attack through the barricade, and then Mateo takes out him. That's
someone write that down.
I'm not going to sit on the fence. I'm being specific with the prediction, saying that's how I think it's going to go. I just think I agree. I think they need to protect Solo. I think Solo has to go over because he's kind of been not stuck, but the bloodline story's disappeared and he's still there. And I think this is the great way to split them up, and also means that Solo could be in Team Rollins and Fatu could be in Team Reigns, and there's still a story there at Survivor Series for War Games. So I'm not. It sounds like I'm sitting in the fence. I'm not. I just think that Triple H loves a non-clean finish, as we have seen multiple times.
Yeah, he does have a bit of a penchant for that.
That's where I'm going. Yeah. Ross, I'll let you kick off match number 4, and that is the Queen of the Ring finals. Asuka versus Jade Cargill. Now, I'm finding this particularly interesting because Asuka's came back and she's been booked pretty strong, which I think is the right thing to do. I think that we've talked for weeks and weeks and weeks about how that Raw division needs a bit of a shake-up, and a strong Asuka is good for any women's division, so no one's going to complain about that booking.
I think that's fair.
They have really tried in the last 2 or 3 months to get Jade elevated, looked strong in the Money in the Bank qualifying, had a title shot. Just talk me through what your thoughts are between not necessarily the match itself, but just the 2 women coming into the match at the moment, because they're also in different brands, different stories.
You know, I think we've all been quite excited for Asuka's return, and I think what we've got, I agree, is what we all wanted to see, and I think that she looks like she hasn't really missed a beat, to be honest. I've been very, very pleasantly surprised that, you know, I thought there would be a level of ring rust, but that doesn't really seem to be. It's been nice. And then in terms of Jade Cargill, I cannot make up my mind. I can't make up my mind on her, and I don't know if it's just because I'm not particularly familiar of her. You know, for those who are listening on audio for the first time, I am the guy who's returning to this since we started the pod. So week after Mania is me returning to the product. I haven't watched
Filthy
WWE
casual.
in a week. I am the filthy casual, exactly. I have not watched
That's why he's in
WWE.
developmental.
I'm out here learning how to run the ropes still. I haven't probably watched the weekly product consistently since CM Punk dropped the pipe bomb, is when I last watched it. But I watched PLEs, but then even then there was a 2 or 3 year period recently where there was no PLEs at all that I watched, other than maybe one a year if we got the chance to meet up. So I'm not familiar with her, which maybe slightly tars it. I thought that the match that she had in the semi-finals, it actually wasn't great. I don't know if it was just simply the 2 of them just didn't really mesh. There was a few clunky moments. Go back and watch the finish. They actively stop for 5 seconds because they're trying to call the spot because they can't work out how enough is supposed to go. Then she changes, gets it done. She looks the part though. Like she's got the physique. She's very strong and powerful, and I think she's actually okay on the mic. I will say that she's not bad. I think this is probably a match where one of these 2 will be more impacted by a loss than the other, and I think that's what makes it very intriguing for us at home watching.
100%. Daz, can I offer up what might seem like a harsh summary or a harsh
I
wrap
doubt
up
it
of
will
what
be
Ross
half
has
for the
said?
man who watches the SmackDown Women's Division every week, but go on.
we praised the SmackDown Women's Division for the first 4 or 5 weeks in this podcast, and now we're saying that they need to do something. But Jade Cargill has the look, has the moves, has the power, looks phenomenal. Is it as simple as saying she just hasn't improved enough in her time in WWE? Because that's how it feels to me.
Yeah.
She can't tell a story in the ring.
There's a perfect phrase for Jade Cargill. 12 years ago, she'd be a 15-time world champion. In that women's division. She would be. She's got the look, she's got the physique, she's got the power.
That's bait.
No, I'm not trying to bait people. She would be a 15-time world champion in that era. Now, she's just not good enough in the ring, and that's not necessarily her fault without actually putting bait out there. Where she's wrestled previously didn't really showcase or give her the chance to develop. She was too big a star, if you like, in terms of name and physique and build, that she skipped developmental, and I think that's at her own detriment. She is getting better on the mic. I'm still not convinced by her. She does look the part. She did, like, see, if you were watching it for the first time, you think, wow, this person must be the best in the business. And a 23-year-old carried her through her semi-final match. And to be honest, I really feel for Roxanne on Friday night, because none of that was her fault. Well, it's probably the harsh way to say it. She's inept at the top level. She is.
We have praised the fact, even though we were confused at the time, as to the likes of Jordan Grace, Stephanie Vicaire, Julia, etc. Blake Monroe now going to NXT, but we've always said sometimes it's not about the in-ring work, it's about learning about hard cams, and it's learning about the WWE style, it's learning how the referee works the match and how to interact with the crowd and how to make sure your entrance is going to look right. Just sometimes it's nothing to do with in-ring work, it's just making sure the package is there. And these people, I think Jordan Grace signed full-time in January at the Rumble and she's main roster now, so that's 5-6 months. It's not a long time. The other one spent a bit longer, but they did that blend which we've really enjoyed of working Mondays and Tuesdays or Tuesdays and Fridays, Wednesdays and Fridays. So Jade probably came in, just if she came in a year later she would have probably went to NXT and we probably aren't having this conversation.
I think that's right.
But on the flip side, Daz, looking at you as a SmackDown correspondent, I feel like there is a story there that does allow Jade to win, go to SummerSlam, and if they're not sure about pulling the trigger, Naomi is there with the briefcase.
Yeah, no, and I think that's why they've lucked out a wee bit with Liv Morgan's injury in the sense of what's been booked round about it. Because I said this in last week's pod that I don't think Asuka was ever the plan. I think it's a pivot for Rio. And in the same vein, I don't think if Liv had been fit, Roxanne would have got over against Jade on Friday night. It would have been Roxanne and Asuka in the final. That's because Roxanne's not needed for that tag team story at that point.
But she is now.
For right now. She is now. She's needed because
she's quite important.
That's the story now. So I think there was another pivot on Friday. I think they're aware Jade is not ready to hold the world title. You could see it in a match with Tiffy when they had it in SmackDown a few weeks ago. I don't think she's there. There is a world where there is a story where she wins and you can put her in the title picture and let people see what she's like at that level. However, that women's title hasn't been defended for so long that if you don't book it with the right person to put on a good show, it kills Tiffy's title run dead and you need to move the title on to somebody else. So I'm going to kick off with my prediction for how this match is going to go. For me, it needs to be Asuka. There's already a programme for Tiffy, Nia Jax, if you want to do it short term. There's more options for Tiffy than there is for Io. And I think that I said it last week, Asuka and Io is a perfect 8-week programme where they can run each other. They've got great chemistry, and I think they alluded to it on Monday night that we'll finally get Asuka versus Io Sky. So for me, it's got to be Asuka. There's no point in building a return up to the point of the final only to put someone over who did not look good through the qualifiers.
We've called for Naomi to Raw a lot.
We have.
We called for it when she turned heel the first time because it needed a shake-up, and we called for it with the Money in the Bank briefcase. And I have actually seen other creators, including Santi Zap, jump on that bandwagon the last 2 weeks, so people are clearly listening to us and watching what we're saying, because we said it first. To me, that's been negated by Asuka's return. That's given enough of a kick to that division. I think they need to do something on SmackDown. The feud itself is dragging out too long. The Tiffy's reign just feels a bit, as you say, the title's not been defended enough, and everybody else is feuding over positions. You've also got this situation where Naomi's doing these false cash-ins which just make her look like an absolute idiot. When, like, why would you run to the ring? Yes, Tiffy's down, but Nia Jax standing there. Like Nia Jax,
Nia just goes go away, and you go okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm in 100% agreement. It has to be Asuka, because if it's not Asuka, it buries everybody else that's been used to make Asuka look strong in the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
I think Jade can get away with a loss. It could even be not clean, because we know that the Tiffy and etc. are in Saudi for SmackDown Friday night, so there's an opportunity to do something else. I think it has to be Asuka, and I totally agree with you. It's a strong programme leading into SummerSlam. for Asuka and Io. It allows Rhea Ripley to stay away from that title. It allows the women's IC title picture on Raw to remain strong and be separate from that, and it also allows the women's tag titles to be separate from that again. So I think from all those point of views, it just has to be Asuka. I think, not knocking Jade, I'm saying that I know saying she's not improved enough, right, but that's not all on her. I think if it's Jade, it's a mistake. Simple as that. Ross?
This for me is an interesting one, and it's because I came in with a viewpoint, and weirdly, it's not the only person who has actually mentioned some of the logic that I was going with, and I mentioned in the Discord as we were kind of leading up to today's show. I was of actually the full opinion that was the move that they would take would be Cargo to win, then win at SummerSlam, and immediately have like a 3-minute title reign, something like that. You know, that in my head just felt sensible, because yes, it gives her that window in time to see how she gets on, and then you can even still take it off of her anyway and go, right, well then you can go switch brands, do XYZ, you know, there's options there. But I do think the pair of you do make some really good points. I think we're going to have our first 3-0 here, and I think that I can just about see Asuka winning, because it just does feel a little bit right, and I mean surely they have to make a right decision.
We did go 3-0 for Sammy Cross.
Did we? Okay, well that's fine then. At least there's some commonality amongst some of these matches. But yeah, I think you guys do make really valid points. I think you've swayed me, and I think I'll just pip for Asuka.
I think if it's not Asuka, we're going to be sitting here every week for the next 5 weeks asking why Io Sky's doing 30-second backstage segments every week. She needs to be back out there. She's too good to be buried away in the background.
I think the other thing for me, and this is a really bold shout, I actually don't think Naomi will be successful with cash-in. I don't think she'll win the title.
I think it's not a bad shout.
I think the way they're building it is going to end up triple threat, and she won't win. The way that they're building it.
Wow.
The last man standing match is probably where it goes down, to be honest.
I can dig it.
Do you think maybe she cashes in, turns into a normal triple threat, and maybe she gets pinned by Nia, protects Tiffy?
I do think that Nia will pin Tiffy.
Okay.
I don't think she'll take the pin, but I don't think she'll win, unfortunately. I don't foresee that. So if you're going to put the title on Jade, you need to be sure she's ready, and I think she's probably about 6 to 9 months away for that in terms of in-ring. But getting her to work with the likes of Asuka right now will do the world a good moving forward.
Agreed, 100%. Match number 5. Before we get into match number 5, we'll just take one last chance just to plug back catalogue on YouTube. We will endeavour to get it up here and upload it onto the RSS in the next few weeks, but that's going to take a hell of a lot of work to separate the audio file. So everything we've talked about, everything we've said, we've talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks, you'll find on our YouTube channel. Linktree is in the show notes. Match 5, King of the Ring final, Randy versus Cody. I'll do the wee blog for this because I've promised you the main event does. Although I have got something to say about it before I hand it to you. But
steal my thunder, usual.
Nah, I'm not going to. I promise I'm not still going to do something. I'm not even talking about. I'm talking about the next section. I'm talking about the match at all. This is really interesting to me because everything says that it should be Cody versus Cena 2 at SummerSlam. That's everybody's prediction has been for months. I think the only way that we can debate the merits of this. I just think that Cody winning King of the Ring would be a mistake. Wow. Unless they do a double turn, and without stealing thunder, you've seen Cena's face on Friday night. I think there's an acceptance that the crowd are not going to turn on him. They've accepted that this is the last time it's going to be cheering Cena for the rest of the time. Cody needs a freshen up. I think what kind of generational run is coming in at WrestleMania, defeating Seth Rollins, who's, if not the top guy, the second top guy in the company, winning back-to-back Rumbles, main event back-to-back Manias, winning at the second time, ending the greatest title run in history, and then, okay, I know King of the Ring's not what it used to be, but then winning King of the Ring, I just think that is ridiculous booking and it's unnecessary. I think you're dealing with somebody like Randy Orton who is on his way out. It's the one thing missing from Randy's resume. King of the Ring.
I didn't know that.
didn't win it, won everything else.
Yep.
10 Hall of Famers have actually won it. I did hear that stat, which I thought was interesting.
And no matter what we say, we have always kind of believed that we would get one more Randy versus John Cena. So, not predicting the match just now, because like I said, the only way Cody wins to me is as if we start to see that turn. So I'm saying that's a possibility. I'm not parking that and saying that he's not winning because of that. But this match has to dive into legacy, the history. This almost needs to be a bit of a brawl. Like, this needs to be a fight, isn't it? It does.
1,000,000%. I'm not going to tell you who I think wins. For anybody who listens to the pod, you know my thoughts on QB3. I am not enamoured by the guy. I don't. You're right, Saunders. He's been booked like Super Cena, and the guy's just not believable in that sense. He does not need to win every single feud he's in, because even when Roman pinned him at the first WrestleMania, he still technically got a rub, in the sense that you're going to lose here, but in 12 months' time you're going to get the biggest payoff in recent history. So it's like the guy hasn't lost basically in the 2 years he's been back, 3 years he's been back, whatever it might be. Well, it's been 3 Manias, so it's
It's come to 4 years now. It's 3.5 years.
So the guy's not really been put on the bench since he came back. I just don't see, if it's Cody Cena, what do we do beyond that? Is it too soon? For me, it's too soon for Cody and Cena again, because what you essentially do is you put your top talent in the ring with your current champion for the final time, because you can't have have three. You can't go 3 times in this retirement tour.
You can't go 3 times unless Cena drops it at SummerSlam.
Yes, but then
it's too early for that, we think.
It is too early for that, especially because, and we'll get on to it in the main event, I cannot wait to talk about it. It's finally got good. I've been watching SmackDown every week waiting for this to happen. Cena's finally cooking. So, I can't. I think it's probably the one match slated to finish cleanly. And interference makes no sense for anybody other than Logan Paul. And I don't really see how he fits in. So, I'm not going to give my prediction right now. I'm going to pass it on to Ross to tell us what he thinks about how this one looks. But for me, the legacy angle, I think, is important. We don't get these two in the ring very often. The one thing I will say before I pass it to Ross is I thought his promo was his silent promo was very telling. He didn't say a word in the ring the entirety of the time he was in there on Friday. Could be a bit foreshadowing for you, Saunders. Could be a bit foreshadowing that he's finished talking, he's going to turn heel. It might be a way to save Cena's retirement tour in the sense of turning it into a massive success, although I do believe we've turned the corner. If you put him over as a face, the only issue is you would need to bury Cody there and then as a heel. So, because Cena, if you turn Cena face, he can't drop the title, it's pointless. So, I'll pass it to you, Ross.
Am I just going to come out with my prediction? Is it just easier than trying to...
We don't need your prediction here, we just need your thoughts, but also for the people that are listening on audio for the first time, Ross made a lot of faces there.
Yeah, I really, really did not expect to be as invested as once I saw that the bracket got to the semi-final and then could kind of see, the permutations and where it could end up. I'm really, really looking forward to this. I think this is going to be genuinely great. I am not as in the camp that Daz is in with Cody Rhodes. He's kind of like, I'm kind of neutral on him, I would say. I'm not like... I'm not in the camp of like standing him or anything like that, but I think that there's been some reasonable work here that could be put in. Oh man, there is just only one way it can go, and it doesn't. it doesn't make sense unless we do kick off this absolute insane chain reaction of events that it could actually make 2025 an absolute banger in that main event scene if they do it right. But are they going to do it right?
Can I just say something that to me seems blindingly obvious? The issue in this match is that neither guy needs to win King of the Ring and neither guy should win King of the Ring. Like, you know, I suggested that Randy's never won it, but Randy doesn't need it at this stage of his career. Cody doesn't need it. He's had enough strong booking and he is going to be in the main event picture. This could or should have been Sammy. This could or should have been Dom Mysterio, just Penta, just somebody that could get, not, again we talked about it with Jacob, not necessarily going to win the title at SummerSlam, but you just want to tease them at that level just to see the reaction they get, just to see can they play along with the crowd. Like, because we talk about JS a lot, and the fact is he's still over with the crowd, he's still doing good work, but they've tested him there. They know that he's essentially, if they need a face champion in the future, they have a safe pair of hands there in JSO for that period of time. Maybe not a 6, 8, 9, 10 month run, but 2, 3, 4 months, absolutely. So should they have, like, to be Queen of the Ring is perfectly booked, in that Asuka's the safe bet. They've tested and teased Jade. Okay, we weren't enamoured on Friday night, but there's, as we both said, Ross, there is a story there that would allow Jade to win, but not be overexposed because of the briefcase. In this scenario, I just think Randy's lost every feud for the last 3 years. Cody's won every feud for the last 3 years.
Yeah,
and
surely.
On paper, it makes sense for that to continue. But I just think, is this just the drawback to the fact that there is no time to build the feud between them? They're both faces. It just feels like weird booking to me. It just feels like poor booking. They had 4 faces in the semi-finals on King of the Ring. What's the point?
Yeah, it's a bit bizarre, isn't it? Like, I feel like they need to do something to make this show not be like a C-tier show, and I think this is the match where they can do something.
Wait, do you get my prediction?
I saw a tweet earlier from a guy, and it's a guy that's a bit controversial in IWC in the last 12 months, but I did actually agree with what he said, and that was, if Cena versus Punk doesn't cook, this could be one of the worst PLEs of all time, and I 100% agree with that. This whole show hinges on the main event, in my opinion.
Unless...
Because Randy versus Cody could be a brilliant 20-minute wrestling match, but I'm struggling with the story bit, and we are a storyline-based podcast. I'll jump in first and go predictions. I'm happy to go into 250 here and say everything about this match screams that it should be Cody. There is no need for an aging Randy Orton to win King of the Ring. However, I have to pick Orton because I just don't see the point in having Cody win everything all the time. He is allowed to lose. I don't know who's in Saudi. We talk about it in the fields, talk about screw finish. I don't know who's there. Obviously the whole SmackDown team are there. Anything could happen. I'm hoping this at least kickstarts the heel turn. Could we see a scenario where Orton wins and Cody gets involved in the main event as part of a heel turn? I don't know, but to be brutally honest with you, and I'll come to you next, Ross, because Daz is obviously counting some here. I'm picking Randy. I'm picking Randy purely because that's what I want to see. The logic tells me otherwise, but I have to pick Randy because you can't win 2 Rumbles, main event, King of the Ring, and just win everything. It's pointless. It's shit. That's just shit booking. That's just crap.
I can really see the logic in your thinking and where your mind's going. I'd like to actually, if I may, read from my notes, which I wrote just earlier on before we'd had this conversation, and I wrote the words, "I can't decide how this will go, but we'll stick my night out and say Randy to then chase Cena again. Could believe that Cody is obvious." So we're actually kind of on the same page, and I'm not going to waver from that. It just feels like, screw it, why not? Give RKO another moment.
I think the big thing is, and again, Daz, you'll get your how he's thinking. I think I'm going to say we'll segue what we were going to say based on the earlier conversation. Cody is conceivably one of the 3 or 4 guys that will be in the picture to end Cena's reign and take the rub. Now,
Yes.
I don't think he needs it. I think he got it from Roman. I think that's sufficient to talk about this super booking. I think that's sufficient for him. But he's one of the people, if we're all in agreement that SummerSlam's too early for Cena's reign to end, because it immediately you lose the jeopardy of him genuinely being the last real champion, right? It kills that whole story dead. If Cody wins the King of the Ring, you immediately Saturday night at 10 o'clock UK time, because it's an early show, we know that Cody is not the person to end Cena's reign. That is now gone completely, and I think that's why I think it's a mistake. Daz, you've been cutting. I can see you're talking every time you said something.
So I think that. Look, we'll break this down, right? Because this makes sense in my
Break it down.
hectic brain, right? Both of your champions are heels. Whether or not one is universally loved by the fan base or not, both are heels. 4 faces in the semi-finals, the King of the Ring. Only 2 feasible finalists, and we have them both. I agree. Cody can't end the run at SummerSlam. It can't end in August if he's going to wrestle to December. It's not a retirement tour if he's not got the title. What I will, and this is where I get this from, right? I'm going to take you back to episode 1 of this podcast.
Oh,
right?
Rolling back
Episode 1,
years.
and you want to talk about long-term booking? Hear me out, right? Episode 1 of this podcast, we spoke about WrestleMania. We spoke about The Rock, and we spoke about the fact that that was number 2, and there's a third guy in this mix somewhere. Right? We know that Gunther has a story until, at the very least, Saturday night main event, right?
Yes.
Him and Big Baldy, right? So there is no space on the main event picture in Raw, right? That leaves
I think that's fair.
Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso out of the picture, right? I'm going to give you what you want, Saunders, and you're going to get your Cody Rhodes heel turn, but you don't get it on Saturday. I reckon Jey Uso costs Cody King of the Ring because Cody old yelled him in the qualifiers. So, because Jey is so over, Jey needs a program to remain over, and Cody needs to turn because he's getting booed in arenas anyway. You might as well turn the guy. He's getting booed.
Interesting.
So, for me, Randy wins as a clean sweep, and that's probably the most surprising clean sweep that we'll get, is that we're 3-0 against Cody Rhodes.
That is not the match I expected a clean sweep in. I will say that.
And neither makes sense to win King of the Ring, but from a storytelling perspective, it couldn't be Jey and Cody in the final, and I get that. Sammy's not believable. I said this last week, Sammy's not a world champion and never will be in my eyes. Yeah. So for me, the booking makes sense. It'll be a shock, and I think that we just spoke about it. That's what this card needs. This card needs something to blow the roof off it. It needs something.
I'm just looking just now to see if Jey Uso can actually go to Saudi Arabia.
Why would he not be able to?
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about
that. Because he had all those issues with DUIs. Now I know that fits because he was also in London previously, and he's been to the France shows. But whether Saudi's stricter on that, I don't know because it's alcohol related. But
there's enough money in the world to make things happen.
I know. You can do it. I know. I
usually
don't dislike it. I think it.
Because Cody and Jey need to do something up until SummerSlam, because Gunther's off the books, so Jey doesn't get his rematch, if that's even a thing anymore. And what are we going to do with Cody? Because you can't run Cody John for, 7 weeks between now and SummerSlam. We don't need it. It doesn't need to be done for the sake of Cody losing, and then we know he's not getting the rub. So for me, Randy wins, and it needs a shock value, because it will be a good wrestling match. The two of them are going to put on a show. But for me,
what's interesting is that if you look at the SummerSlam card at the moment, that's what I'm cycling through, it does say John Cena versus King of the Ring tournament winner. So I know both guys are on SmackDown, but they've obviously penciled them in to say that it doesn't matter who wins, it's Cena. So I don't dislike it. I think something has to happen, and to be fair, I've predicted a bit of a screwy finish in the Fatu solo match, and we've seen at least one in every show, and in some of the shows we've seen multiple. So again, I just hope there's a way that they can do it that doesn't spoil it on Friday night, because I've not looked at necessarily what's happening outside the matches, but obviously if we see Jey Uso appear on the show, because Cody will be there because it's SmackDown star, then does that give it away? But I don't dislike it. I am surprised we went 3-0 Orton, but I think we're all in agreement that it's more so because it kills. If believe it or not, it actually kills Cody's momentum to win it, because we know that his position as a potential champion post Cena is gone, unless there's been a title change at SummerSlam and a what do you call it, like a nostalgia tour, which none of us want. So that being said, it is time for the main event of the evening, the match we're looking for. Daz is getting a couple of minutes here to give us everything for Friday night. I'm going to point out a couple of things, and I'll show the camera for those that are listening. My notes just say John Cena got and a big thing actually saying Stu finally got a shout out, which is where I think the wee tease is starting, because that's a change already. You get nothing. Well, we gave us something Friday night.
Yeah, well spotted.
Ross and I were discussing this on Saturday when we were out and about, and this is why I'm happy handing this to you, because see, when it comes to Cena's last match in December, I'm just going to mute the two of you guys and monologue for 10 minutes about John Cena. And I don't care. I love the guy. Daz, Friday night.
Friday night is the promo I have waited almost 15 years for. I'm going to start with the way it was booked. It was booked beautifully. Ross, you may not necessarily have caught all this unless you've seen it. See the pipe bomb way back when?
Oh yeah, no, it's the only thing from SmackDown as a whole I have actually seen this week, and it was beautiful, wasn't it? It was absolutely beautiful. The pipe
bomb way back when CM Punk dropped the pipe bomb, John Cena lost to R-Truth that night. Right? Cena also went through the table and Punk cut the promo. To flip that on Friday night was sensational.
Yeah, it was.
My favourite thing about the promo was John had fun cutting that promo.
He did, didn't he?
It did not look like he was doing heel work for the sake of furthering the story. He fucking enjoyed that promo. He has waited almost 15 years for that promo. I'll get to the shoutouts in a minute.
I loved them.
Which is just you could tell how much he was enjoying it. The way he flipped the pipe bomb on Punk just at every opportunity, referencing to the tweets, etc., building into Night of Champions. For those of you who don't know, or maybe perhaps weren't about back in there were some tough days watching the product back then outside of this feud, to be honest. Punk has made multiple references before about blood money, etc., etc. So, yeah, the way they flipped the script on Punk, and fair play to Punk, he sold for 6 minutes lying on that table, which is not an easy feat. So, the shout-outs. Claudio Castagnoli, right?
Excellent.
Fantastic to give Cesaro the shout-out, for those who don't know who that is. Good friend of Cena's. They go for coffees, I believe. They still speak to each other quite regularly.
They text each other apparently all the time about finding the best coffee spots in different cities across the world. I think there's 3 of them. I can't remember who the other person is in the group.
You had Matt Cardona as well, who is milking the life out of this.
Oh yeah, have you seen
his new t-shirts?
Yeah,
superb, excellent merch. I love it. Ride the coattails. And obviously with the third shout out. So I know I've just downplayed him there as if he didn't really matter, but yeah, the subliminal messaging within those 3 for the 3 people for Punk is very telling. I thought it was expertly put together. I was critical that we were maybe getting this feud too early. Thank God they gave us it when they did, because I would have hated to have waited another 3 months to get that moment. I feel like I've earned that moment, but I also feel like this is now why they pulled the trigger, because that promo doesn't have the same effect if this match isn't in Saudi Arabia.
I would agree.
So it amplifies
Yeah.
the promo a billion times. My only concern is that's the first time John has ever looked stronger into a title defence. So I'm a little bit nervous for him. I've got a feeling we'll go clean sweep on this based on the way we've spoken through it. The pod so far. I am surprised Punk's going to be there. I won't lie. Well.
That's what I
He
want
has
to
to be
speak
there.
about.
It has
is
to
that
be there
we
because
don't-
if you want to swerve it on Friday night, he's got to be in Saudi Arabia. So
that's the interesting part, is that obviously he wasn't booked. He wasn't booked to be on there, and now we're 48 or 72 hours out from time of recording for when he has to, you would assume, be in the country, and we have absolutely no idea.
I think it's
Apparently that's
difficult because
the charter's tomorrow, apparently.
yeah,
I believe it's Wednesday.
you dilute the impact of that promo if the match doesn't go ahead.
I would agree with that for what it's worth. I do, and it is not. He would not be the first, mid to late 40s punk guy to sell his soul after spending decades saying one thing to then do the opposite. Right? It would not. It's not surprising. That's
See if you
what
look
kind of
at-
people who are in the punk scene do.
See if you look at his long-term promos since he returned, he said multiple times, "I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money."
You make money.
He said it multiple
Also-
times, and that's possibly just been in the build-up to this moment. So
It also sets up a potential heel turn for Punk when the time is right, because he is a great heel.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
there. It's there. Did you? I take it. You know why Cena picked those three names
yes,
for the shows.
Yeah, it was because he
The-
buried them backstage, hadn't he?
No. In the build up to WrestleMania 29, Punk criticised Cena versus The Rock and says,
Yep.
why are guys like Cesaro, Dolph Ziggler, and Zack Ryder not getting chances? And we're
Oh, right, yeah.
rehashing
No, I've got that right.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
The wrong way, yeah.
So that's why he picked him out. It's the great. If the pipe bomb is the greatest promo of all time, this is now the greatest promo of all time, because he's just. This is why John Cena is the greatest of all time, in my opinion. And obviously I grew up with him. There's a nostalgia factor, but I love the guy. I think he's brilliant. I think it's just.
it is the
was
greatest
perfect.
promo
It
of all
was-
time.
It was
It's
so
It's
good.
right up there.
And as you said, it's not because he was a heel, and it's not because he was telling what the Miz's promo and talking smack, where it's the truth mixed in with the storytelling. It's just because he sat in that turnbuckle and he just took the piss for like 8 minutes and just
Wasn't it
had
an act?
fun.
Yeah, it wasn't
an
an act. It was him
And-
waiting to unleash that.
And that's what I said when he realised the crowd were going to cheer him no matter what. That smirk in his face, he's just like, I've got them. And see, at some point in the next 3, 4, 5 weeks, his music's going to hit, and it won't be a black backdrop. It'll be the Fruity Pebbles, You Can't See Me in the background, and the crowd are going to go fucking nuts. And I am so ready for it. He is a face. He's already the face. It turns there. They call it for Stu. That smirk, walking away. He's just having fun. He is the greatest professional entertainer wrestler of all time, in my opinion. And
I totally agree.
I can't
Me too.
I can't drag this conversation out anymore. I just think I'm going in this weekend, and I'd like to make a bold prediction, and I'd like to say, again, depending on who goes, that we might see a failed cash in.
Okay.
I
That's interesting.
just think that something like that needs to be there, because it would give you Punk versus Rollins as well, if cost them the match. But I think Cena retains, and I think he retains with a pin. Whether he uses the title belt or not, I don't know. Whether it's a heel finish, but I think Cena walks out as champ, and I don't think he can go any other way. Does
I think.
sorry, Ross.
I did-
Just
look,
when he's
I-
around, just pick him.
I did say when I was lavishing how fantastic that promo was, we are going to clean sweep. There is
Yeah, I think so.
theoretically no way
Yeah.
that Punk can win this. We said SummerSlam's too early, and Cody's the biggest, whether I rate him or not, Cody's the biggest name in the business to take it off him. Punk can't win it. Although I do think I originally thought we would get Punk Cena 2 on this tour, I don't think you can do it now.
No, I think this is
With the way that Cena has, because let's be honest, Cena buried him on Friday night with that promo. He has to pin him or tap him out or whatever. But this is a one and done. Cena retains. There's no two ways about it for me. I'll be shocked if there's a cash in. I think there may be a cash in attempt post match where Cena escapes.
possible.
I think there may be a fail. I think Rollins may appear, but I'm just wary of Naomi's situation. Do you really want the so-called stable that is absolutely ass right now to have a failed cash-in attempt, because it's teetering as it is?
It's struggling. I mean, I'm only saying that because I think it's to me, something like that is the only way to allow for Cena Punk to later in the year. If that doesn't happen, then it's because if Cena hits him with the title, it's still a reasonably clean win, right? It's still a pinfall 1, 2, 3 middle of the ring. Then I agree with you. I think it's one and done. And I don't understand why we would get Randy twice, having booked Randy as the King of the Ring winner. But I guess that's probably his greatest rival of all time. Ross, I know you're going to go for 3-0 here, but any different thoughts on the actual?
I guess my only thing that I have, and the only question I have around it is, as I'd said jokingly earlier, it is not a massive surprise that punk rockers, punk kind of guys that get to the 40s to sell their souls. Just look at like guys from Sex Pistols and stuff like that, and you see those comparisons are there. I just find it very strange that Punk, at time of recording, is going to be in this match in Saudi Arabia when he said all these things, but to then lose anyway. I'm struggling, because I agree. I think Cena goes over, and I think we're 3-0 in here, so I think that's 3 of the 6 matches.
Yeah,
is that right, that we've went 3-0, which is quite interesting. But I'm just struggling to reconcile with this notion in my head that is how it's going to go, because I think that's how it's going to go. So I don't know personally how much I'm going to see of the PLE live. I was certainly able to get a couple hours in before it, and I think I have to nip out at one point during it. So hopefully Bum is back in seat so I can see this live, because I'm really interested for the previous match and this match to really see how they execute, to see how they do it, because I think you're right. I think that random guy on Twitter is correct. Particularly this and the last match is where this entire card hinges, and do this wrong, don't execute it right, and you're like, why have you flew these guys into basically a war zone? It's not that. You've not had the payoff. Give us a payoff, please. Make it worth it.
Yes, speaking of watching it live, I am the wifeless and childless fun uncle of the Golden Shovel. So this guy will be live on TikTok at the Golden Shovel. I will be live streaming whilst watching this potential classic without the CL. I'll be live on the TikTok channel. Come in, watch it all unfold with me. These guys will probably drop in and out of chat to catch up as and when they get time. They're real adults, they're real responsibilities. Come hang with your boy.
Aye, I'm at a family wedding, but if I can get the wife drunk enough and into her bed, I'm going to join you for a post show reaction.
Glad that's where that went. Whoa.
This is,
I know
we ticked the explicit content box.
If I can get a so I can watch the wrestling in peace. Aye.
I know we ticked the explicit content box, but Jesus Christ.
Let me tell you. Yeah.
I mean, that I think we've done all right there. We've got 3-3-0s. We've got a little bit of a split. Hopefully, you guys that have joined us for the first time on audio will see that even when we are picking these matches, it's not just picking it in silos of it's a match on a Saturday night. It's what's happened before, what's still to come. As Daz alluded to, Linktree in the show notes, you'll get to our TikTok, follow that. It will go live. We should have YouTube set up, but it'll most likely be me that streams on YouTube, and I'm not available this weekend. And hopefully over the next few weeks, because we're trying to balance our main channel and the wrestling stuff, we will bring some additional content on the wrestling channel with some secondary videos. So we really appreciate everybody joining us for this first audio, and I will reiterate everything that up until now is on the YouTube channel, Golden Shovel Podcast. And we'll end the podcast there. Let us know in comments on YouTube or in the Contact Us segment of the audio, wherever you get your audio from, because we should get it through Buzzsprout, your thoughts on the PLE, even if you want to give us your thoughts after the PLE, and we can discuss them and react to them next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we say in every episode, if you've got something you want us to discuss in the podcast, let us know. If you have a podcast yourself and you want to come on and guest spot and talk about some stuff, great, let us know, we'll get you on.
Absolutely.
And we'll sign it off there. So Daz,
I am looking forward to this, probably more so than I was about 12 PM today, having a chance to talk it out. I'm looking forward to it. As I say, Wifeless Childless Unk will be live on TikTok, so come and join the fun. But yeah, take care.
and I will endeavour to be there for the main event. Ross?
Yeah, that was good fun. I think I'm in agreement. I think I've went from significantly underwhelmed to I am certainly in the whelmed category, so WWE, the floor is yours.
Whelmed?
Whelmed.
That's the worst outro of the series, let me tell you.
I know.
Worst outro so far.
You know what, that's very valid.
Aye. And for myself as a host, take it easy guys and we'll catch you next week.